Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where I do this daily live stream all around the divination card, or oracle card that's drawn in the morning between me and my spiritual team. The intention is to know about the energy that's flowing today that's most important for us to know about, and for our highest good. And the highest good of all. So, and it also sparks a really great spiritual conversation too. So welcome. Today is Sunday, March 17th. So happy St. Patrick's Day for those who celebrate. Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of holiday, isn't it? I've been to Ireland several times, I think like 4 or 5 times. And my friends over there, when I asked them about how they celebrate St. Patrick's Day, a couple of them, laugh it off. And some of them are just kind of looking at me, kind of like, what are you talking about? And one of my good friends over there, Phil, she was saying that, that's really an American holiday. I said, really? She says, yeah, it's an American holiday. And I said, oh, She goes, you guys celebrate that much more than we do here in Ireland. She says, we watch it on television when they turn the Chicago River, green and that sort of thing. But what they do more now over in Ireland is that they do not so much the celebration part, but it's more about tourism this time of year. So for those of you who celebrate St. Patrick's Day, have a great day. Get your Irish on, right? Right. So the luck of the Irish. So today here in Toma, oh my God, is it beautiful out there? Blue skies, sunshine. It's relatively warm. I want to say it's like in the upper 30s. I'm just going to double check here. if I can get it to come up. Yeah, it's 36 degrees. So, it's not 36 below. That's good, right? So it's beautiful here. And Paul and George, they're out for the afternoon, or for part of the afternoon. He took him for a long run off lead and trying to get him tired. We have company tonight. Paul made cabbage and, oh, sure, I was going to say it. It was right at the tip of my tongue. Is Julie Shumway Hill in the house? Why, yes, she is. Hello, Julie. Julie, we published one of your poems called On the Tip of My Tongue. I'm experiencing it right now. Corned beef cabbage. That's it. That's it, corned beef. I knew it was meat, It wasn't a meatless meal. And before we get too far down the road, I'm gonna like and share our live stream, okay? And I'd invite you to do the same thing. For those who are, usually with me every day, why is so that those souls who are looking for information like we're sharing, it's easier to find us. Those who are looking for the information, or maybe looking for that kind of conversation, And so if you wouldn't mind sharing and liking it, I would appreciate that. And even those that are watching it by the recorded video, thank you so much for being here too, and asking you also to like and share. And so I just have to find us. Here we are. I liked it, and I'm going to share it over to my live stream, my news feed, and just so that all my friends know, I'm live streaming and asking them to please join. There we go. I'm going to post that. Yeah, there we go. I already posted it into the radio network closed group. I suppose I should send it over to the Academy group, huh? What do you think? So we're letting them know that we're live streaming. And then just to please join. There we go. And we'll send it over to the Academy closed group. There. That works. Turn down my sound. All right. Well, let's see who's in the house. I know Julie's here. Hello, Julie. Rochelle's here too. Howdy. Love my hair. Oh, you're so sweet. This is Sunday Hair Gone Wild. I've got some clips in because I need to get a haircut. I haven't gotten a haircut since I think it was November. I think could have been December. Oh, it was November. Yeah, I need to go in and get my hair cut, and so I can do something that'll actually, do something that I wanted to do. This is Sunday Hair Gone Wild. I had to do something with it because, I do have naturally curly hair. It's not like ringlet kind of curls. When it's shorter, it can be. But when it's this length, it is kind of out there. And it's got a little bit more than just body. And so I put some product in and try to get it to look not so, frizzy kind of stuff. But yeah, this is clip. So thank you so much, Rochelle. I appreciate the compliment. Jackie's here. Hello, Jackie. Oh, so excited to learn about owl. Yeah, me too. Listen, this is coming from the Druidic perspective, okay? And so we'll add a couple of other pieces in there too, but it's coming from the Druid perspective. I was kind of hoping that Mervyn was going to be in the house today too. Rochelle says, cooking corned beef, cabbage, onions, potatoes. Yum. I know. Paul's doing the same thing. It's in the slow cooker, so it's been on since this morning, and it's smelling really good. I think he put Guinness in there too. Thank you. Rochelle shared and grounded. Yeah, she shared the live stream and she's letting me know that she grounded for today. Yay. Thank you, Rochelle. I'm so glad that you're remembering to do your grounding, because it really is not just helpful to you, because that's really important, but it helps everybody. It helps everybody. And look who's in the house. One of my sisters, Christine. Christine's here. Hello, Christine. It's always good to see you in the house. Julie's saying, just put my corned beef on to cook. Ah, you see? Yeah, Paul and I were trying to decide oven, crock pot, and we decided to put it in the crock pot, and that way we didn't have to do much with it for the rest of the day. So, yeah, it smells really good, though. We made enough for, like, I don't know, the minimum, which is, about 4 to 6 people, right? And Mom eats, like tiny half portions, and then she eats only half of the half. And so Paul's sister is up here, his twin sister, visiting their mom, and so we invited them over for dinner, and they declined because Heidi doesn't like corned beef and cabbage. I didn't know that. She's married to somebody who's Irish too. I thought maybe she'd be missing that kind of meal. And my mom-in-law, I guess they're having that for lunch, and so she decided that twice in one day might be a bit much. And so Paul, some of the people from Paul's work are coming over to help us, so we don't have so much leftovers. Yeah, it'll be fun. And Andrea's here. Hello, Andrea. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you too. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, I don't know, Andrea. I don't know if you heard what I was saying at the very beginning. That I've been to Ireland about 4 or 5 times, and some of my friends over there, I was asking, in some of those trips, especially that first one, because I just wanted to learn so much about the island and the people, and so it was like 20 questions. I had asked them a question about being Irish or Celtic, and they'd ask me about being Native American. So we were doing this over dinner, and we didn't eat much that dinner because we were so busy talking. But anyway, asking some of my friends over there about celebrating St. Patrick's Day, and it was like some of the looks I got was like, are you kidding me kind of looks, are you crazy? And other ones were just kind of staring at me. It's like, don't you? And it's like, oh no. It's like, okay. And I finally asked why. And my good friend over there, Phil, she lives just outside of Dublin. She says to me that, that's really more of an American holiday, St. Patrick's Day. I said, no, I didn't know that. I said, I just figured that Ireland would be, like all about to St. Patrick's Day. And she goes, oh, no, not so much. She goes, if you're Catholic, maybe, yes. But that has more to do with going to church that day and having a family meal kind of thing. And she goes, no, it's not nearly celebrated as much as you do over in the States. And I said, oh, she goes, oh, but we watch it on television. We watch how Chicago turns their river green and all that, green beer, and she says to me that little by little, Ireland is starting to pay attention to it. And today it's big over there. Not so much because they celebrate St. Patrick as much as it's about tourism, because a lot of non-native Irish over in Ireland, that we travel there for it. And so it's a very big tourist attraction. Yeah. And so, talking about getting your Irish on, right? And so anyway, that's it was a little bit of a surprise to me, I have to say. But then again, it's all about that stereotype too, I suppose. And Andrea is saying, that's wonderful. You've been to Ireland so many times. Yeah, it's something about it, Andrea. I have to say, the first time I went was, I think it was in 2004 or 5. I think it was in 2005. I think it could have been 2006. No, it wasn't 6. It had to have been 2005, and that was the first time. There was a bunch of us who studied together. It was a very international group, and one of the ladies from Switzerland said, "Well, why don't we meet? And like in 6 months or 8 months, why don't we meet and talk about where we're at with our teaching and that kind of thing?" And so we kind of picked Ireland, because I've always wanted to go, and so we picked Ireland, and Phil is in Ireland, and she said, I'll host, just come to me. Okay. So a bunch of us went, and that was the first time I'd ever been there. And Phil was the tour guide. She took us to several places. And when she asked us where we wanted to go, some of the people wanted to go to more touristy places, like the Guinness brewery and that kind of thing. Not me. I wanted to go to Newgrange, because I had looked up some sacred sites over there, and I thought, which one do I want to really, really go to? If I only had one chance to get to a place, where would it be? And so I asked her how possible would it be to get to Newgrange, because I didn't know the distance and the travel and that kind of thing. And so we did. That was the first time I was ever at Newgrange, and since then I've been to Newgrange almost every trip. My last trip there was with Minnie Kansman and her tour group. Yeah, it's fun. It's I have to tell you that if I had a chance to choose anywhere in the world where I wanted to live, it would be there. In 2010, when I was there, it was right after my dad walked on, and I grieved all over Ireland. It's like every time I turned around, I was crying. And I, at that trip, if Paul hadn't been here, I wouldn't have come back. I would have stayed there. And so I can feel the call. I can feel the pull of the Great Mother of the island, right? I can feel it. And yeah, so I know that I'm going back. I just don't know exactly when. My travel is really kind of restricted because of my mom and her, the amount that she needs me. And so at some point I'll be back there, for hopefully more than just a few days, right? Because I want to go back to the university, and Phil knows some people there that do the folk information and about drumming and that kind of thing. So I want to visit them. Of course, I want to get across the Shannon to the west side, and so yeah, it's a I don't know. I definitely have a love for the Green Isle. That's for sure. The Emerald Isle. All right, let's talk a little bit about the cards today. Hey, boy, I sounded Canadian there, didn't I? All right. So for those who don't know, this is the cards that we're using. It's the Druid Animal Oracle deck by Stephanie and Philip Cargome, illustrated by Bill Worthington. It was published in 1996, and Philip Cargome is the lead druid. I'm not sure exactly what his title is, of the Oviates and Bardic Druid something. Julie, help me out here. Julie knows the term. Julie Shumway Hill knows. And I was gifted this set by Mervyn Kelly, who is a live stream show host for us here at Star Nations. His show is From Star to Stone, and he is a modern day druid. And so we've been using this deck since February 1st, since Bridget's Day. And so I've learned a lot, really. I don't know about you guys, but I've learned a lot. The amount I knew about druidry could have fit in a thimble. But I've learned a lot, and I'm sure what I know now can maybe fit in a small box, but compared to those who actually live the lifestyle and the spirituality through the Druidic perspective, right? The lens. And I have to say that there's so many similarities between how the Druids worldview, right, and a more traditional Native American worldview. It's very quite similar. All right, so here we go. This is the card that came today, and this is Owl. Owl, and how to pronounce it in Gaelic. Now, wish me luck on this one, guys, because this is probably the hardest one so far. Got to find a page. Well, where are you? Here we are. Owl. Cailleach-Oidhche, Oiche, phonetic. Oiche. Cailleach-Oidhche. Jay, I wish Mervyn was in the house. He could really help us with this pronunciation. Cailleach, I know means like crone or grandmother or old woman kind of thing. Okay. So here is the owl. Take a close look, okay, at the card. Let's see if I can get that in the frame here. Really take it in. Notice how you feel when you look at it. Notice what part of the card first draws you in. What does your eye go to first? So we're sensing, feeling, seeing the essence or the spirit of the owl through this card. Yeah, just noticing, right? And so this is how we usually do it here. We start at the top of the card. And we really take a look, right? And we see the full moon in the background. And I believe that's ivy. And notice the trees. The trees don't have leaves on them in the background. So is it wintertime, fall, spring? Right? You know, and there's what is that? Oh, it's an acorn, I think, on the side there. Isn't it interesting? Fascinating. There's things hanging in the trees, on the limbs, on the branches. And the fact that the owl is on a branch, grounded, not in flight, but grounded to Grandmother Earth. You know, and we see oak leaves with oak nuts, acorns. That is ivy. Isn't that bird beautiful, though? Yeah. It's a beautiful card. Beautiful illustration. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Julie. See, I knew Julie would know this. Order of Bards, Ovids, and Druids. And Philip Cargome, the author, is Mervyn, one of Mervyn's mentors. And so when he gifted me the book, Philip actually signed the book to me. So how sweet is that, right? And so Julie says, his sweet face. And doesn't he have a sweet face? Certainly does. And Rochelle's saying, the branch that the owl sits on. Yeah, it's pretty sturdy, isn't it? It's a thick branch. It's pretty sturdy. So he's sitting on a tree that has some age to it, right? And Andrea say, can't stop looking at those eyes. They're very penetrating. That they are. And one of the things that we noticed about these cards, Andrea, the illustrator, he doesn't, many of the animals, I should say, he only has one eye looking at us or looking toward us. There's not that many animals where both eyes are shown and they're looking straight on at us. But this happens to be one of them. And I have to agree with you. His gaze is just mesmerizing, isn't it? It just really pulls you in. Yeah. And Jackie's saying, I'm drawn to the intensity of the owl's eyes. I love this card. It's beautiful. Thank you for the close-up. You're welcome, Jackie. You're very welcome. And she says, I'm drawn to the... Oh, did that twice? Okay, sorry. And Pat's saying, I love the eyes too. Hey, welcome, Pat. I'm so glad you're here. And she loves the eyes too. How Madonna's here. Hello, Madonna. There is a full moon this week. I know. An intense energy this week. For those who are very sensitive to earth energies and to the moon energy, it's a very intense week and very intense. More reason to remember your grounding, to be grounded. And, you can also do put your protection in there too, but all the more reason, especially this week, to remember to be grounded. And to remember also that, depending on what technique or method you use for grounding, it lasts about 12 hours. And so to do it twice a day, once in the morning and once before you go to bed, right? Because it lasts about 12 hours. And that way you know that you're ready. You're poised. You're poised to bring in any of that information, that energy, that spirit is bringing to us during this very intense full moon, spring equinox, right? The only thing we're missing in this one is an eclipse. Yeah. And the grounding will really help for those people who have really strong sensitivity to the moon phases. Being grounded helps you to kind of weather those symptoms. Okay. Yeah. Being grounded. It gives us a really strong foundation to receive the information that's coming. So thank you, Madonna, for reminding us about that. Very good. So I take it the moon in the card is what drew you, right? That full moon in the background. And so, here, before I get into what the author is telling us about owl, the bits that we know about the owl medicine, the spirit of owl, whatever the author is bringing to us is going to only broaden our perspective, broaden our knowledge about the spirit of owl. And this is a good time to ask, I suppose, is how many people in the chat know that they have owl as a power animal or as a totem? Now, depending on your belief system, the power animal will come to you to help you with a life lesson or something that you're working on right now, okay? And will stay with you until you complete whatever that is. And then they move on, and then you get a new power animal to help you with your next experience, right? Whereas the totem generally stays with you from the time they join you until the time you walk on and become spirit. So, for instance, owl happens to be my birth totem. And so owl and I have been together since I came into this physical existence. And so what I know about owl has been actually through as a child, as a young adult, has been from my family. And actually Native Americans, depending on the nation, the tribe, and even the clans within that nation, how they respond to owl. In the Ho-Chunk and in the Potawatomi cultures, owl is seen as a bad omen. There's a lot of fear around the owl. The owl is the one who's a messenger, a harbinger of death. Okay. And so, yeah. So you can only imagine what it would have been like maybe 100 years ago or 300 years ago. Okay. And when the owl shows up, no matter what kind, the owl shows up and somebody's going to die. And so you're waiting for that and you don't know who it is, right? Yeah. And so there's a lot of fear around that. So in a lot of Native American homes in Ho-Chunk and Potawatomi, you would never find anything about owl. Nothing. The one phrase that I remember in Ho-Chunk is hampokska. Hampok is the Ho-Chunk word for owl, and ska is the color white or color. And so white owl. And so they're talking about the snowy owl. There's also a medicine, a fungi that's used for medicine, for like drawing out. And that's called white owl. So, so carrying that medicine from as a child, that was kind of tough. It wasn't meant for the faint of heart at all. And so the owl, though, knowing what I know about the owl in its environment is that they have silent flight. Their feathers are created in such a way that you don't hear them when they fly. And their sight at night is very, very keen. They see through the dark. And that's one of the things about having owl as a power animal is that those of us who carry it, we can see things that some people may not. The sensing when somebody is telling the truth or when they're lying is one of them. Yeah. So as a child, people think you're precocious when you're asking them, why are you lying? And my mother is going, shush, shush, or putting her hand over my mouth or telling me to sit down. It's like, be quiet. Yeah. So silent flight, really keen eyesight, right? Yeah. And I know we have a lot of owl stories, don't we? But the owl, when you hear them hooting, right? There's turkey hunters. They use an owl call, and it's called a shock call because it will shock the turkeys so that they make a sound or they move or they'll flee. And so So when the hoot is kind of like the call is like kind of sounds like who cooks for you, who cooks for you too. And so when you use that, and I've practiced that actually with the call because it's my totem. Why wouldn't I? Yeah. So that's the little bit that I know about the owl that I wanted to share with you anyway. Yeah. Andrea is saying, I'm wondering if owl is a totem for me. I seem to have a lot of connection to owl. Well, Andrea, I can certainly ask her if you'd like. I can dowse for you. I would need your permission to do so. So just let me know in the chat, and I can dowse for you and find out. Okay, we can find out if it's a totem for you or if it's a power animal. So here is what the author has to say about owl. That words that are associated with owl through the Druid point of view is detachment, wisdom, and change. Detachment, wisdom, and change. Yeah. Detachment, wisdom, and change. And that's from the Druids. I found that very interesting. All right, I'm going to dowse for Andrea while we before we get started too far down the road here and get that done for you. I'll move my camera down just a little bit so you guys can see. All right, make sure my feet are flat on the floor. All right. So I'm asking, right? I'm asking my spiritual team. They're going yes already. All right. So is this pendulum sufficiently clear to dowse with today? And I get a yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And am I worthy to dowse today? I get a yes for that. Thank you so much. All right. And is it in the highest good that I dowse for Andrea Wright regarding the owl and totem? And that's a big yes. All right. Thank you. And so I have permission from Andrea's high self or soul self to do this dowsing as well. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So the owl, is owl a totem for Andrea? A totem? No. All right. So is owl a power animal for Andrea? Yes. Okay. All right. So the reason why, Andrea, that you feel that there's this is a totem is because you have a lot of connection to owl, and it sounds like it's been for a long time, or it feels that way, and that's probably why it feels like it's a totem, right? Because it's been such a long time since you've had this connection, and it's a really strong connection to owl. Yeah, and it feels like the light the soul work that you're doing. It's not it is a project, but it's a pretty big one. It's a pretty big one. So a lot of soul growth to it, right? And so owl has been with you for a long time because you're working through it. So whenever you finish that up, when it comes to a completion, owl will definitely move on, but it doesn't mean that you forget owl. You always remember and have all those memories of how much they helped you. Yeah. You'll always have that connection to them, but they're a power animal for you. So, and no matter whether it's a power animal or a birth totem, or a totem, I should say, is to learn as much about them as you can, because then you can ask them to help you with certain aspects that you can use their medicine for. And so, for instance, their keen eyesight in the dark. To help me see this. There's so much darkness around this topic or this subject or what I'm going through. I really want to see the truth in here. So show me what's the truth. I would like some clarity, and calling on their keen eyesight for that. Yeah. There you go. Oh my gosh, Mervin's in the house too. Yay. So I'm hoping that's helpful, Andrea. Hello, Mervyn. Good evening to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day, sort of. If you if you celebrate that. Andrea says, "Thank you so much. That clarifies things." Well, you're welcome. Madonna's asking, "What's the difference between a totem animal and a power animal?" Good question. That comes up quite often, actually, and it depends. My answer is from my point of view, right? My point of view. And because it's different from culture to culture or from belief system to belief system. Okay, so from my belief system is that a totem enters your life and is with you your entire life. Okay, so for instance, the owl is my birth totem, and so the owl came in with me and will be with me until I walk on and my soul returns to pure energy, pure spirit, and leaves the physical body. Okay, you can get a totem at different parts of your life where you might have like a near-death experience, right? And you might get another totem at that time. So you would have like two. You'd have your birth totem, and then you'd have your second life totem. And that totem too would stay with you until you walk on. Right? And I also believe that walk-ins also have another totem that comes in with them. It's kind of like a birth totem because they're walking into a life that's already here. Right, they exchange when soul leaves and the walk-in comes in, so they have a birth totem at that point. A power animal will come in to help you with a life lesson or something that a project that you're working on. Okay, so so they're there for you to call on for assistance, and so they'll be with you until you complete that life lesson or that soul project. Okay, and then they'll leave. Now, like I just told Andrea, it doesn't mean that we forget about them or forget our connection to them or anything like that. It's just that their energy isn't as strong with us. They're not walking with us. At that point, when we're beginning to start our next life lesson, our next experience, we'll get a new power animal that comes in to help us with that. That's the difference. And I know that the Druids have a slightly different belief system about that. And Mervyn has actually shared that with us before. And Mervyn, if you wouldn't mind, I know it takes a little bit to type that stuff in, but if you wouldn't mind, if you can kind of tell us in a nutshell the difference between that from the Druid perspective, that would really be helpful. Yeah, that would be helpful. All right, so back to owl. Here's what Philip writes about the owl in the card. He says the card shows a tawny, Tawny, tawny owl in an oak tree covered in ivy. A full moon shines between the winter bare branches of the trees. Hung on the tree are votive offerings to the crone or hag goddess, that's from the owl, that's Cailleach, of a Celtic head and spiral of death and rebirth. All right, so again, oops, had an itch. All right, so they're talking about those things that are hanging in the tree. So you see that, well, I got to get my camera to focus here. I don't know. My camera's not focusing. There's one hanging there in the tree. That's the spiral. And then you have one that's further down. It kind of looks like a face to me. There it is. Death and rebirth. And the other one is the spiral. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool to hang stuff in the tree like that. Gives me some ideas anyway. All right, and then he goes on to say that owl teaches us the wisdom of turning an advantage into a disadvantage, an a disadvantage into an advantage. It says, for most birds, the coming of darkness renders it impossible to feed. But the owl's exceptional hearing, for those of us who are clairaudient, enables it to pick out and swoop on unsuspecting prey during the night. Twilight has been described as owl light. And going for a quiet walk in the woods at this shimmery time of twilight is an excellent way to develop a sensibility to the other world and the inner soul of nature. I like that sentence. I'm going to say that again. Yeah. Going for a quiet walk in the woods at this shimmery time of twilight is an excellent way to develop a sensibility to the other world and the inner soul of nature. Don't you think that's cool? I do. You may feel drawn to study of esoteric lore or clairvoyancy. Working with the owl as your ally will help you to do this. All right. Oh, okay. This is interesting. Mervyn is saying April 23rd is St. George's Day. He is the patron saint of England. St. David is patron saint of Wales, and St. Andrew for Scotland. St. Patrick gets all the press. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I know. I have a couple of things to say about St. Patrick too, but I'm saving them to the end. I want to get through the owl, and we're going to come back to that part, okay? Okay, Mervyn. Oh my gosh. All right, so it sounds like Paul and George are home. Talk about St. George. I'm going to close my door. Hang on just a second, okay? Oh, those two tend to get a bit loud, so I want to make sure the door is closed. All right, so this card was drawn upright. It wasn't reversed, okay? But I find that with this deck, it's really taking in the information about the reverse card, if it was in the reverse, is really helpful to get more of a full picture of what Philip really brings in with this information about these cards, okay? So here is the information had it been in reverse. It says this card may indicate that you need to be wary of withdrawing too much from the world. An ability to be attached and discerning is an asset unless it becomes a defense against being fully alive with all the vulnerability it entails. Perhaps there is not much a need for secrecy or holding back. The owl can signal a time of change, of initiation, of new beginnings. It can portend the death of one thing, but also the birth of another. An old Sussex saying is, when owls swoop at night, expect a fair morrow. Expect a bright dawn, and it will surely come. Now, in the reverse, there's a couple things in here that kind of jumped out at me. Okay, the part about being wary of withdrawing too much from the world. We have talked about that a couple of times this past week about empaths, is that when we don't know how to use that gift yet, or that we're not using the best protection when you're an empath, that the incoming emotions and even thoughts by others can be so overwhelming and so disturbing sometimes that we tend to withdraw and isolate, which isn't healthy. We think it is, right? We're thinking that's the best thing for us, but actually it's not, because we don't have the opportunity to master that gift, right? And so, it doesn't mean that we don't have it. It just means that we're trying to turn it down. We're trying to dampen it. And so that's what this kind of reminded me of. And he goes on to say that an ability to be detached and discerning is an asset. All right. And so that reminded me of to be in the world, but not a part of it. It's kind of a biblical kind of saying to it. I know. To be in the world, but not a part of it. And to me, that saying is that, we're here to experience. We're here to learn. We're here to garner that wisdom through that soul growth. And rather than going with the flow of it, we will struggle against it, right? Yeah. And so learning how to be in the world, to be able to apply our gifts and to use them to their fullest, right? But that doesn't mean that we have to be a part of it. We can be detached from it, and in that detachment, when we're discerning, we have more understanding, clarity coming from our higher self in that discerning, and that we can actually bring it to our consciousness, right? That's what left me going, this morning, as I brought that in. The other one was that the owl can signal a time of change, of initiation of new beginnings, that it can portend the death of one thing, but the birth of another. And I thought that was an aha moment for me, okay? Because in my culture, it is always, always about death. I have never, ever heard it being about the flip side of that, which is the rebirth. Yeah. And so when it's only about the death part, that's where a lot of fear comes into it. And so to me, that was my aha. I learned something new today. In a different way, an expanded way of looking at the medicine of owl. And that it actually will, yes, it is the ending of one thing, but it's also bringing in the energy of the beginning of something new. And I love that. All right. So Madonna saying, oh my gosh, I had an owl soup a few feet in front of me one night a few weeks ago. It seemed to just disappear in the night. I know. And Madonna, that could actually be the coming in of an owl as a power animal for you. Has it ever happened to you before? It's a possibility. Feels like it to me anyway. All right. There's a couple more things about owl that Philip brings in that I think is fascinating, in that the owl is one of the 5 oldest animals, according to the Druid. One of the 5 totem animals central to British tradition. The owl imparts a different wisdom, one of objectivity and detachment. The owl watches and waits, which is true. That's how they hunt. They watch and they wait. They listen. Adept at disappearing from view and favoring the night, the owl is the animal that symbolizes esoteric wisdom and secrecy. The Cailleach is the goddess of death, and the owl's call was often sensed as an omen that someone would die. It was seen as a bird that calls for the soul, or that catches it or takes it away. Knowing of an impending death or a birth suggests that the owl is able to foretell the future. And the owl is indeed the totem bird of clairvoyancy and astral travel. The veils which surround the normal boundaries of space and time can be pierced if you take the owl as an ally. Yeah. If you take an owl as an ally. So with that, I'm going, Madonna, if you'd like me to douse on whether owl came in as a power animal for you, please let me know and in the chat, and I can do that for you. Okay. That last sentence really grabbed me. It says the veils which surround the normal boundaries of space and time can be pierced if you take owl as an ally. Now, I have to tell you that it is with that power animal that I learned how to either expand time or to contract time, earth time. So, and my sisters know this, Christine knows this, is that the owl showed me how to, when we're having a class and we have a lot of information to get through, is how to expand the time so that we have plenty of time, earth time, to fit in everything that needs to be fit in for our highest good, right? And so we're able to do that comfortably. And places where we need to contract time so that we can get somewhere on time or within the time frame that we need to be there, it's kind of like running through a hallway. Yeah, you contract it. And so owl actually is the one that helped me to understand that and how to work with it. Okay, so Madonna said yes. So we're going to find out from Madonna here. So I'm going to move my camera down again. There we go. All right. So here we go, Madonna. All right. So we know that the pendulum is clear. Yes. Thank you. And that I'm worthy to douse. Yep. And that do I have permission from Madonna's high self to douse for her regarding owl? Yes. All right. And thank you. Did owl come to Madonna the other night as a power animal? Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. So Madonna, like I was explaining to Andrea, it's to be able to learn about owl, not just in its esoteric or spiritual sense, but much more, to research their habitat, to research their life expectancy. When do they mate? When do they have their offspring? How many days do the eggs take to hatch? What's their diet? How I know about their feathers, right? What their feathers are like. To learn about it, so that that when you tap into, when you ask the owl for help, is that you can understand what they're bringing to you. All right. Good. Power animal. You can even sit and have a conversation with the owl to find out, what is it that you're here to help me with? What are we working on? I need some clarity around that so that I can make a conscious effort, right? Yeah. All right, we got just a couple more minutes here. There's one thing I wanted to make sure that I covered. Philip really did write a bit about how the owl was perceived by humans, how it changed over time. Okay, that the ancients viewed the owl much differently than people did after Christianity. Okay, because the owl was very much attached to paganism. And so in order to have a little bit more control over the people, they had to change how they saw their allies. And so that's how the owl kind of got into the bad omen kind of thing, you know. It says that originally a sacred bird embodying wisdom and discernment, it gradually became seen only as a bird of ill omen. He ends up saying that the owl is a bird set apart. She stands on the threshold of the other world, reminding us of the ever-present reality of death. But death is the great initiator, and as the owl hoots for us from the trees, we may come to realize in the depths of our being that our death in reality marks a beginning and not an end. Yeah. So, owl. What did the spirit, the medicine of the owl, bring to us today? The message coming from her. What's important for us to know about today that she's bringing to us? And I have to say that, you know, for me, the sense that I got was that this is a very powerful ally. Can certainly help us with discerning. Can help us when we're learning how to use our gifts when we're standing at, as they said, at that threshold between worlds, right? Teaching us maybe even more about how we're moving from one dimension to another, from one vibration to another. Yeah. And that, you know, over and over, they were talking about, you know, that the owl brings information, seen as an omen, right? That end, that showing us that even though something may be ending, that there is a beginning. Is to honor and to recognize, acknowledge that ending, but to also be aware of and excited for the new beginning. All right. And so in that ending and in that beginning is about that movement from one dimension to another, that many have left the third dimension and residing more and more in the fourth dimension, right? And how do we know that? Is because our fear level goes way down. We have more compassion. We see life differently. We view death even differently, right? And that we're not struggling from an existence, that we're actually thriving. And now showing us how to be able to hold the energy of the fourth dimension, but as we prepare to shift into the fifth dimension, leaving some of the fourth dimension behind, but bringing the wisdom that we gain from it with us to the fifth dimension, right? And I think that's what this is really helping us to know about. It's that early introduction of the energy through owl. That's what I got. I don't know how that sits with you guys, but you know, whatever resonates with you, that's what you keep. Whatever resonates with you is to keep it, hold on to it, embrace it, and watch and see how the energy today unfolds around you and where this information is helpful to you. And if it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's all right. You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings by saying, nope, wasn't for me. Didn't get that one. It's all right. There's always tomorrow, right? There's always tomorrow. All right, I'm really far behind in the chat. I'm going to back up a little bit. And Madonna said, "Sweet, thanks, Neshi. I'll research owl." Yeah, and after you do the research, after you do the mental stuff, is then you know the drill. Then you bring it into your awareness through your heart, and where you connect with that power animal through your heart. Once you understand each other, right? Oh, here we go. Mervin's telling us. He says, the power and totem animals, as I understand them, can be thought of pretty much the same in Druidry as Native American tradition. I'll speak personally as usual and say that I know there are animal guides and spirits that have always been with me, and there are others that pop in with guidance and messages when necessary. We need to be open to the idea that the animal spirits that guide us aren't just like the wolves, the bear, and the eagle, etc., but they encompass every animal upon earth. Then there's the trees and the plants. Holy smokes. You are so right. You are so right, Mervin. Definitely. That's what it means that we have the entire universe supporting us. All of our relatives, all of them, all the relatives here on earth and all the relatives that are in the stars. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Andrea says, great information today. Thank you. You're welcome, Andrea. And Mervin is saying, maybe I'll tell you you the story of Blood Eye with. Oh, on the next show, the owl is significant in the story. Ooh, please, please, please. Okay, I won't remember how to pronounce that by then. Blood Eye with. I'll say, remember the owl story you promised? Because I know I won't remember the other one. All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate it. And to have this kind of conversation with you, I really do enjoy it and enjoy our time together. And for those who are watching the recorded live stream, thank you so much for being with me as well. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I was going to tell you about next week and all the shows coming up, but that's a lot. All I'm going to tell you is tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time is going to be Paul Krause's show. It's early in the day, early in the week and early in the day, because he has a special guest from India. I can't remember her name, and I don't have the information up. But she's from India, and the name of his show is The Future of Spirituality. So if you can join them live, that would be great. But, my suggestion is to please watch the recorded, because I think there's going to be a lot of interesting information coming from that interview. So I'll leave you with that. I'll tell you more about the rest of the week tomorrow afternoon. Okay. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And until we see each other again, right? Bama Mina. Until we meet again. Love you guys.